What's going on, guys? Ishin from CZeroMedia here. Today I'm headed back to Pashko's at VideoMic Engine Design, hopefully for the last time, for rebuilding the RX7 engine. I don't know how many times I've been to VideoMic, and as much as I love his work and love being at his place and hanging out with him because he's such a great guy, and I love supporting people like him, right? I mean, he has become such a great friend of mine. He knows his shit, he does great work, and I love supporting shops that I love. But as much as I like being there, I want to get my engine back in my engine bay. I just missed the Ginger Man Grid Life Festival. I didn't go to Grid Life this year because I don't really have a car that I could race. My Evo is getting turned into from like a race car into more of a street car. I might go E85 and make like 700 horsepower and just drive around the streets and make it more like a show car than like beating on it all the time. And that's the reason why I'm building the FD RX7. Grid Life is an awesome event. For those of you who are not familiar with it, there's racing all day, and at night there's drinking and partying, and next day you repeat the same things. For me, I enjoyed it. I did it before, but being there at the event, being at the track without a track car and watching other people drive just kind of drives me crazy. If I'm at a track, I want to be racing my cars, and that is the reason why I didn't go to Grid Life, simply because I didn't have a car to drive. So I'm really looking forward to putting the RX6 engine back in FD, and once I get the engine ready, it shouldn't be too hard slapping everything back together into the car and hopefully getting it tuned, and hopefully the harness I built would start up the car without the entire harness catching on fire and my garage catching on fire. We'll see how that goes. But enough talking, I am off to VideoMic! And today in Michigan, it's like 90 degrees outside. This is super effing hot. So I'm not gonna take the motorcycle or the Evo. I'm just gonna take my DD, Dodge Ram, because my Evo has no AC and I don't wanna be sweating my ass off driving there. And also there's a little bit of rush hour traffic right now, so it's gonna take about 45 minutes to get to the shop. What usually takes like 30 minutes, 25 minutes from my house actually takes about 45 to 50 minutes in rush hour traffic. And I'm actually headed to a Mexican restaurant right now because I'm starving. For those of you who don't know me, I eat a lot of food. I'm like one of those Japanese food fighters. I eat so much food. I don't know how I don't get fat, but I'm starving, so I ordered some Mexican food. And even though Pashko told me he's not hungry, I got him 3 tacos because what the hell, I'm visiting his shop again. Figured I'll give him some food. I don't know about you guys, but every time I see a bright colored car with racing stripes, like this Camaro in front of me, I feel like that's another way of saying my car is slow and I never drive it fast. I just bought it to cruise around on the streets really slow in my V6 Camaro, Challenger, Mustang, whatever. The irony with cars like that, which is bright with racing stripes, is that they're actually really slow and they're the ones getting pulled over all the time because they're speeding off from car meets and car shows. Rice! Oh my god! I hope you guys saw that Mustang. Oh my god, that is a one riced out Mustang. And what is this guy doing merging into the traffic? It's chaos out here. Wow. One thing I found funny once I moved to Michigan is that there's a saying that goes, there's 2 seasons in Michigan. There's winter and then there's construction. And it can't be any more true at times. There's construction on M59, which is a road I've been driving on for like 20 minutes now. It's non-stop construction for miles and miles and miles, and nobody's even walking on anything. And we have arrived to VideoMic Taco Designs. I'm just kidding. Mexican restaurant. I find it funny. Maybe it's just me because I have a naughty mind. There's a naughty time, like adult shop here. Mexican food right in between. And then there's a Thai massage place right next to it. I see what you did there. And I just spent about $40 in Mexican food for 2 people. Look at this thing. I hope Pashko is actually hungry because I'm not letting this Mexican food go to waste. And finally, we're off to VideoMic Engine Design. Hello! Uh-oh, uh-oh. Hey kitty, you want some food? You want some Mexican food? Yummy. Just destroyed some Mexican food because, as you know, I was starving and still got some food left.
So guys,
let's see what's going on here. If you guys remember from the last video, the block was not painted, so Besnick took the time to paint it up for me. It's nice and black, looking pretty because show car. Just kidding.
rods and pistons, we'll get those slid in.
All right.
And then we can check the clearances, like side clearances and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then bolt the heads on.
Cool.
After we put lifters in first.
All right. And I got all the parts just sitting here. I just realized this is actually my parts. Just sitting here on the counter.
So all these components there are washed up and ready to go, ready to be painted if you'd like.
Okay, nice. Yeah, doesn't really matter. I guess this could use some painting. And here at the shop, we also have Bale has tuning K24 engine block that Besnick is building. This is the motor that's going to go into the supercharged FRS time attack car. And Pascal just told me that K24 motors actually don't have oil squirters, but K20s do. And that is because
what they use the oil squirters for is for pulling the piston, obviously. In most cases, I actually block them off if we're going with an aftermarket piston. The K24s don't come with oil squirters, but the reason the K20s do is obviously what it does is it keeps the pistons cooler, so it sprays on the underside of the pistons and cools them. The reason I don't like using them if we're using aftermarket pistons, these pistons are actually a softer material. They have a lower silicon content, which means they're more malleable, which also means they transfer heat to the bore better. So an oil squirter, and like let's say this is a 2618 material piston, it's really, in my opinion, useless. If anything, it's actually going to cause more drag since you have piston, or you have oil squirting underneath the piston.
Right.
The weight of the oil sticking on it.
Right.
So in most cases, I block them off.
Huh. Interesting. Never knew.
So like I said, the factory pistons are harder, so they use the piston squirters to keep them cool. If those pistons get too hot, they crack. Whereas these ones, they're flexible enough where they get hot enough. They kind of, like I said, they're malleable, so they just kind of move and work out of shape. But a harder material alloy will just crack, you know, like a Greenland or something. So that's why they have the oil squirters there.
Never knew. There's a little bit of a K24, K20 noise dropping there from Pascal. Like I say, he knows about every single motor out there. It's pretty impressive. He knows about rotaries too, so if I want to do like a 3 rotor in the future, this guy.
4 rotor.
4.
What we're going to do now is show you guys how to gap rings. Alright. So this ring set right here is a standard fit. There's a couple options you have when you buy your rings. Not only the material is selectable, like tool steel and plasma moly and all that stuff, you can also get file fit or standard fit. The difference between the two is file fit. Typically, if you buy the correct ring size for the bore that you have, they come in at 0 gap.
Okay.
And this allows you to set the ring gap anywhere you want it.
Okay.
With a standard fit ring set, they come in to what the manufacturer manufactures them at. So like GM, you know, they manufacture these rings at such an OD. So the aftermarket manufacturer will copy that, and then hopefully when you install the rings, it'll give you very close to what the ring gap should be. So it saves you a lot of time and it's just much easier. So these ones here are standard fit ring set, so we shouldn't have to file too much, but we'll find out after installing them.
Okay, cool.
So the way I like to do it is, I've already checked the oil ring. Usually manufacturers say fit at minimum 15 thousandths.
Okay.
So we're good there. Since this is a do-yourself channel, I show you the do-it-yourself way.
Yeah.
We won't use any special tools.
Yeah, we don't have $100,000 equipment here, but good enough.
So we'll start by installing the oil ring. First you want to install your expander. Now if you look at the end of the expander, it's got 2 notches that face down. When you install it on the piston, make sure those face towards the bottom of the piston. And also...
So, okay, so these are directional too then?
Yes. Okay. So they're directional, and then when you install it, you want to make sure that the ends butt up. You don't want them overlapping at all. They have to be butted up.
Okay.
So once you get those installed, you can grab one of your rails and then put it on the bottom of the expander.
Okay.
And then roll it in, just like that.
Yep.
Now, for every ring that you install, you just want to rotate it and make sure that it spins freely.
And these are not directional?
These are not,
They're
no.
just plates,
Yep.
okay.
So, with the expanders, I like to put them 180 degrees apart.
Okay.
Or not the expander, the rails.
Yeah.
So we got one over here. I'll flip it this way.
FYI, it's like 85 degrees in here, so it's a little hot. If you see us sweating, that's why. We got fan here.
That's what separates the men from the boys.
That's right. So I got a little bit of live stream going on here on my YouTube channel as I film the build process. Okay, so
the last ring set that needs to be gapped is cylinder number 8, which on LS is passenger side rear. So what we're going to do to check ring gap is we're going to put it in. And then what I did is I took the piston and I installed the oil ring. So what this does is it gives us a square point that we can use the piston to square up the ring and the bore. So when we push it all down, that we know we can trust that the ring inside is perfectly square. Because if it's offset or crooked at all, you're going to get a wrong reading on the gap side. So that's ring number 2. So just by looking at it, it looks like maybe 22 thousandths. Taking a wild guess. 23.
oh, that's pretty damn good though.
So usually when you check ring gap, you want to get the feeler gauge in there, and then you want to pull. You want to pull on it, and you just want to feel a little bit of drag on the feeler gauge, and that'll tell you that's the correct reading. If it's too tight, it's not correct. Obviously, if it's too loose. Basically, when you pull the feeler gauge through the ring, you want just like a little bit of tension or drag on it.
I see.
Now when it comes to ring gap settings, it all depends on application. If you have a turbo car, nitrous car, NA, that really is what determines your ring gap sizes. Since this is going to be NA with basic upgrades, heads, cam, intake, stuff like that.
Basic. Basic build, he says. Okay.
What we can do is just, take the factory settings and kind of go from there.
Okay.
Every ring manufacturer has their own. A basic street strip application, they tell you to take the bore size, times it by 4.5, like 0.0045. So when you do that, that gives you the exact number to gap to.
Okay.
Now I'd like to go a little bit looser, on the looser end of things, seeing that you're going to be tracking this car quite a bit. It's going to see prolonged periods of high duration of heat. It's just not a street car. You're going to rip on it once or twice and then it gets a chance to cool down. When you're going down the straightaway, this thing's full load for a little while. Right. So we want to give the rings enough slack to where they have just enough gap to where they don't butt up.
Okay. Now, does that mean I might be consuming more oil throughout the days because there's maybe a little more gap?
Not at all. As long as the second ring and the oil control ring are doing their job, which they're new, you're not going to have that issue. Okay. So again, we'll just take the piston, square it up in the bore. So I'm guessing that's on about 21. What's your guess, Ishan?
22.
I seem to be on the low end of things. Oh yeah, 21.
Oh, nice.
So actually it's probably about 20. That one's a little bit too tight.
You're good.
Yeah, 20. Okay. So now that we checked the gaps and we verified everything is there is good, we can install it. So just like we removed it. Once you got the rings installed, you just want to make sure they rotate freely. Okay. That there's no hang up. Rotate it 360 degrees. Make sure it doesn't catch anywhere. Typically just shake them. If they rattle around, they're good.
Okay.
So these are ready. So all the bearings have been installed. They've all been cleaned off. The bolts have been cleaned.
Looking pretty. Looking brand new here. Awesome.
So I want to stress to everybody too the importance of cleanliness. Obviously, it's about the most important thing when building an engine.
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
Exactly.
So now bounce over to here and start prepping the bores. And I'll show you how to do that. Take some chopped out. This stuff you can actually get at Walmart, and I love it. It's like 89 cents a roll, and it's lint free. So
oh, okay, really?
Lint building up and stuff.
Yeah, that's nice.
I've tried probably 20 different rolls of paper towels, and that's not the best one.
Really?
Yeah. So then just take lacquer thinner, dab it on the rag, and work your way up and down the bore all the way around. And you can see how dirty it is.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So basically you want to keep cleaning it until the rag comes out with no dirt on it.
Right.
So just keep scrubbing. Any of those contaminants that are in there, they're going to wash off with the oil. Could potentially, if there's enough contamination, it'll destroy your rings. So it's important. This step is very important to do.
Right.
Usually let them soak until you stop seeing bubbles, and that tells you they're pretty cool.
Wow, I didn't know it was that visual. So what we're doing here is we're soaking up the lifters because there is air inside the lifters because it's been sitting outside so long. So what we're doing is putting it inside oil, and you can see the air bubbles coming out of the lifters.
We can start the process of piston installation.
All right.
And so we'll start with cylinder number 1. I like to work on the bank side, 1, 3, 5, 7, and flip and do the other side. Some people like to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my way. So when you oil the rings and the pistons, you don't need much, just a couple drops.
Okay.
Smear it around on the skirts, and then rotate the rings. Get the oil worked in
inside the groove. Okay.
So, and then as far as ring placement goes, so the piston sits in the bore like this, and then I face the top ring towards the intake side.
Okay.
And then the second ring I put toward the exhaust side. And just like that. So the second ring gap will be facing the exhaust. The top ring will be facing the intake.
Now, why do you do that?
I do that because it keeps the, during initial startup, it keeps the gap away, at least the top ring, away from the exhaust side.
Okay.
So you don't have, like bull vibe, basically.
Okay. Right.
If it's closer to the exhaust side, it keeps it away from heat also.
Okay. Is this like a ring compressor tool?
Yep, this is a ring compressor tool.
I just guessed that name, but I guess that's correct terminology.
That's a good guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rings compressed, the bearings are already in there. Just add a little assembly lube. Again, with this, you don't need a whole lot. Assembly lube is not like oil, it doesn't run. So
right, yeah, this stuff is very thick.
Yeah, so you lay it on there and it stays there.
That's the same ones we use for cam installation too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we can install it on the board. Make sure our dot faces forward. And then just lightly tap.
Cool.
After you got the rings, inside the bore, reach underneath and just grab the rod. Make sure it doesn't hit the journal. Kind of guide it with your hand. Now it's fully seated.
Nice. Ta-da!
So now we can flip it. You want to make sure too, obviously, you get the cap aligned correctly. So the bearing tangs, they're called, they both go on the same side.
Yep. Right.
Sounds like I need to go shopping.
I use all your lubes.
Engine lubes.
Yeah. No, I thought about going there, but I realized we're on a live feed, so.
So there's that.
And this lube, guys, if I didn't mention before, is specifically designed for piston ring installation. There's zero contamination, very pure, good stuff that Pashko recommends.
The most critical area of bolt lubrication is the underhead, because that's where all the force, or most of the force, gets applied. It's on the shoulder.
Right.
So it's very important that you lube that up too.
Oh wow. And what kind of lube are you using right now?
This is the ARP.
Oh, the assembly lube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is made for their bolts.
Right. Oh wow! That is night and day difference.
Yep.
I can push it with my thumb.
So.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, when we're done fully assembling it, we can go through and check the breakaway torque again.
You're right.
Compared to our original setup.
Right.
But yeah, I think that will contribute the last one a lot to the ring. It was more looked like a ring issue because the rings were very tore up.
Yeah.
And probably had something to do with the tune too. I mean, I think you were saying it was running very rich.
Yeah, your car wasn't tuned. You had cams installed with like stock ECU for a long time, stock tuned. So.
By hand too.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, look how smooth that is.
Another point I'd like to make is when you install the rod and piston, I like to have the crankshaft throw all the way at the bottom.
Okay.
This way you don't have to rotate the crank to bring the rod to the bottom.
Right.
A lot easier. Spend the time to put it on the engine stand nicely. You know, center the shaft of the stand on the crankshaft. It's much easier to work with when you're building the engine. You know, when you need to flip it over, like it's very well balanced.
Right.
You know, it's not top heavy.
Right.
It just makes life a lot easier.
That makes sense.
Spend the time, do it nice.
Right.
And it'll be worth it. I guess we could talk about the piston ring thicknesses too, and their effect on engine operation.
Okay.
So on a standard LS1, it's 1.5 millimeter thickness, 1.5, and then 3.0. It's a very standard, very common size for piston rings. Nowadays, there's piston rings that get down to like 0.8 millimeter thickness.
Wow.
Very, very thin.
Okay.
Now, I think in our last video we were talking about the thinner the ring, the less friction you have on the cylinder wall, so that's the reason they do that.
Okay.
Obviously, with rolling the thinner rings, you run into other problems too. If the ring material is not stiff enough, like a tool steel or something like that, the ring will actually flutter. And by that I mean under high speed, high combustion pressure, the ring will actually flutter.
Okay.
Flat back and forth and stuff.
Right.
And that's where you get accelerated piston wear or ring land wear.
Okay.
So, but this LS1, that's about as generic as you can get. So.
Right. All right, pistons are in. And now we're gonna start torquing these bad boys up, so it's good to go. What are the torque specs for these?
50 pound-feet.
That's not much.
Yeah, pound-feet, not foot-pounds.
Pound-feet. Now the pistons are in and everything's torqued down, and we're putting on the cam plates, which is these things. And for those of you who don't know, these seals are not reusable. So if you take this off, you're supposed to get a new one. And I'm going from the older generation cam plate, which is flush like this, to the newer generation, which is countersunk. So we got new bolts to go with it, right? Alright, so the cam plate is in, and we're ready for the timing chain.
Yep. So the way that this is like the Chloe's timing chain I asked Ishin to get, and we still kindly did.
Yeah.
There's this is called a Torrington bearing.
Okay.
So a Torrington bearing just allows the gear to spin freely against the cam plate. You know, you don't have any friction. You know, it's got a roller bearing effect.
Okay.
So these things are about as easy as you can get to install.
Right.
So if you look down here, now these have a multi-position keyway. Now if you look, you know, there's different graduations depending on where you want to set the timing at. You know, it can go, you know, advanced or retarded. We put it up at 0. So the 0 keyway, but this is the actual timing mark right here. Yeah. So this just tells you that when you install the keyway here on this slot, it's at 0 degrees. And then the cam, the pin goes at 3 in the 3 o'clock position. Okay. And then you can tell here on the gear. So when this is at 3 o'clock, this dot is facing down, which will line up with the 0 mark.
Okay, I see.
So
you want to face the dots this way, or match the dots,
right,
bottom to top.
So this is also directional too. It's got 2 faces. You can tell if you look at it on the side profile, it's like a cup.
Right.
The back of the cup always faces the engine.
Okay.
Or towards the cam plate, I should say.
Right. And the lifters are actually nice and soaked because you don't see any bubbles anymore over here. So those are good to go once everything else is ready.
So if you can tell by this chain, you know, it has a little bit tighter slack on the cam, on the chain itself. If you notice, the factory ones are just, they flop around quite a bit.
Quick shout out to a company called RDE for sending me these LS engine timing chain dampener. They are the company based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and they actually manufacture a whole bunch of aftermarket pieces for LS based setups. So I'm actually buying a reverse solenoid lockout delete kit also for my T56 transmission. But basically what this does is it gets installed between the timing chains, and it prevents the timing chain from slopping around left and right, and especially if I'm downshifting hard, revving the motor at the track, I want the timing chain to be stable. Check them out too if you're interested in running similar setup on your LS engines. Oh, it fits in there beautifully.
Awesome. That looks good actually. I'm pretty impressed with that. So now we can go through and install the lifters into the trays. There's a couple things to look for when you do this. So obviously the tray has 2 flat spots, and the lifter also has 2 flat spots, and what that does is keep the lifter straight up and down. So the roller doesn't go sideways.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's different from Evos.
Yeah. So now you go in. Now what I like to do is when I install them, give them a little bit of a twist. And what this does is these trays are very notorious for cracking. And what happens is, you know, is when they crack, the lifter will spin, and then we get into that situation where, like I said, the roller is sideways, wipes out your cam, you know, could potentially do a lot of damage.
Right.
And sometimes these things are cracked, I mean, like a hairline crack, you can't even tell.
Okay.
So just giving it a little bit of twist. If it moves at all, you can tell that it might fail pretty soon.
Okay. I see.
So just a little bit of check like that.
So do they make aftermarket?
They do.
Okay.
Yep. They have, you know, they have aftermarket trays. They have items that delete the tray completely and just run like link bars, which connect the lifters, and those are pretty durable. So now that we get all these installed, go back over here. So you just want to get it started, and then they should just drop it in like that.
Perfect.
You don't want to force them in at all.
Beautiful. Alright, so the timing chain is on, the lifters are in, and now we're finally ready to put the head back on the block. So let's talk a little bit about what we did to the head here.
So, I'm sure you can see, you can probably put a picture in what the heads looked like before. So to start, we strip the heads completely, and then we do a process called soda blasting, which I'm sure you remember. We clean the piston, so you know, we get the chambers completely clean, all the carbon gets removed, and then we go through and check valve guides. We check the seats, check the valves, check all the clearances just to make sure everything is good to be used. And then once all that is prepared, they're ready to go off the CNC. And then the CNC machine is actually set up to do the porting. And then it also does the valve job, and then refaces a resurface. So this is why, you know, this is how we get this nice shiny, you know, look very new type of finish.
How much horsepower gain would you see, like not just in this motor's case, but in general, if you were to port a LS head and put it on?
It varies quite a bit, you know, between cam selection, supporting mods, what the application is. The engine, 5.7, 6 liter, 6.2. Right. So it varies. I'd say heads alone on a stock block will pick up anywhere from 40 to 60. And then you throw the cam on top of that, and some people see gains up to 80 horsepower.
Oh, yeah.
So it really depends on the application.
Right, right. That's a pretty big chunk of power, though.
Yep.
So if you're interested in getting some porting job done for your LS engine, or any engine for that matter.
Here's our K series.
Oh yeah, K series. Yeah, the K20 head here with the ported job. Looks beautiful. And then LS6. Nice. All right.
Call that LS6.
LS6.
I get to play cameraman for a little bit.
Here we go. Oh man, this is so pretty. What's the best way to handle this?
Just like that. There you go.
Beautiful.
So you'll notice that there's 3 different size bolts for the Gen 3 stuff.
Yeah.
These 2 medium-sized bolts go here. So inside the valve cover area on the outer edges. And then all the rest of the bolts on the inside are these long ones. And then obviously these ones,
the babies,
go there.
Okay.
So.
Alright guys, the head is on the block finally. It's looking absolutely beautiful. I forgot how big this engine was with the head on it, because I haven't seen it with the head on it for quite a while. We worked on it for about 4 hours today, for maybe 5 hours. We even did live streaming on YouTube, so I hope you caught some of that, as well as on Instagram. But yeah, that's it for today. We're pretty tired. Next episode, we're gonna torque everything down, put the cover on up front, up top, the oil pan, the gaskets and all that's gonna be installed, and hopefully we will be done with the engine build series. So thanks again for watching guys.
I do appreciate it.
Yeah, as always, if you have any questions, hit up Beznik and leave comments in the comment section below.
And make sure to subscribe.
Yeah, that's right, subscribe and check out Beznik. You know, if you want your LS engine head ported, I don't even know what this head ported, K motor, LS engines, 4G63, whatever, hit up Beznik for any engine questions, inquiries. So thanks again for watching guys, and see you in the next video. Peace.
See you guys.